Hello everybody, we have another ALTTPR League race happening for you. That was an exciting last match that just finished, and we've got another one coming right up in about 1 minute. We got 16-bit nerds going up against 2 Pearl, 2 Furious. With me in the commentary booth today is Ben. How's it going?
Going just fine. Looking forward to an exciting match. This is an important one for 2 Pearl, 2 Furious here in the Lake Hylia division of the league. They are in a 3-way tie for 3rd place in their division, so they are looking for their playoff spot here today.
Yeah, both teams not really having their fate totally in their own hands. They're both going to need to rely on some other outcomes in order to squeak into that playoff spot. But definitely a win here on either side is going to help out their chances.
Over on the left, we've got Floyd44 and Flipheal representing 16-bit nerds. On the right, you can see Trinexx and I'm going to guess oase28 representing 2 Pearl, 2 Furious.
Yeah, so it looks like if we're doing our calculations correctly, it looks like this is a fight for their lives for 16-bit nerds. They need to win this one, or they are definitely out of the playoffs. And I think they've been one of the surprises for this season. 16-bit nerds definitely performing above their expectations and throwing this entire division for a loop, making the race to the playoffs a lot harder for many of the teams.
And for those just tuning in, it is week 7, the final week of regular league play. This is a 2-on-2 co-op seed between these two teams. All dungeons, 7 crystals to enter GT, and we're off.
So it looks like each team sending one runner off to Uncle and the other one over to Lost Woods.
Yes, indeed. The prize packs being nice and generous with the green guards dropping a bomb for a few of our runners here. It makes life nice and easy during these opening phases. Uncle also handing out bombs, so in fact, bombs aplenty. Also in Lost Woods and in Sank, I believe, so plenty of bombs to go around for those early checks like Mini Moldorm Cave, Sorcerer's Closet, and of course, Kakariko Village. Lots of checks behind bombs.
Looks like Flipheals might be taking those bombs and continuing on to check the rest of Hyrule Castle here.
Flipheal showing off a fun, swaggy bit of tech, stealing a bomb from the bomb-throwing guard to throw at his brethren there.
Yeah, and if you haven't watched any of the other races this week, it is co-op all dungeons, so they will need to defeat all the bosses, get all the crystals and pendants, beat Aga 1, Aga 2, and Ganon in order to finish the game. And they are talking to each other right now, telling each other what they're finding. For example, that hammer in Blind's hideout that Floyd has just found. So they're executing and holding a conversation at the same time. It is really difficult for these runners.
Yes, indeed. You might think that being able to share information with a cooperative player would make this an easy mode. It is not. This is considered one of the harder modes, just because of all the things you have to hold in your head, all of the factors that you have to try to take into account as you run these races. Also, not for nothing, because you're only checking roughly half the checks, relying on your partner for the other half, you tend to have fewer safeties.
Yep, so the mode definitely favors the runners with better overall execution. But we do find a bottle in the well, looks like.
And it looks like Floyd and Oase did also find a glove. I missed where they grabbed that. And it looks like there was a level 1 sword in the village as well.
And not the Flipheal didn't find anything in the front of Howard Castle, so he's probably gonna join Floyd and pick up his goodies in Gakrika. Trinexx doing an early Agina check, but nothing there but just a single arrow.
Yes, indeed. One of the fun things about these co-op seeds is that you get to see some of these out-of-the-way checks a little earlier. Less to lose when you have 2 players covering the same amount of ground. And Trinexx in the upper right giving us our first look at Mini Moldorm Cave. The movement patterns on those Moldorms being very rude when all he has is bombs to try to take care of them with.
Oh, ouch. So Two Furious is gonna have to wait a little while to see what's in Mini Moldorm Cave. So one of those bombs happened to explode on the exact frame that it landed on the ground, which causes it to not hit the Mini Moldorms. And then Trinexx mistakenly threw one bomb out the door, and he's gonna take his last bomb and check out Ice Rod Cave here.
Meanwhile, Sage's closet yielding up some rupees and a shovel. Ooh, and a hookshot in Ice Rod Cave. Good find.
I bet he wishes he had that hookshot for Mini Moldorm Cave.
Looks like Floyd's giving us our first peek at the inside of a dungeon, Eastern Palace in this case. Won't be completable unless he lucks out and finds a bow here, but with 3 checks, we'll see if he finds anything good.
And I think I just saw Osh pass by Mini Moldorm Cave. I wonder if there was some communication issue. Oh, there we go. He's going back. Trinexx must have told him that he wasn't able to check what's in there.
Osha should have an easier time of it with that fighter sword in hand. Although with only 1.5 hearts, he does still need to be a little careful. Those Moldorms can be unpredictable. But he's a pro, doesn't even spend a bomb, just wades in with those spin strats. And that is the Moon Pearl on the Mini Moldorm Cave Thief. Also a powder to be found in there. And that's gonna give Osha his Dark World access.
Yep. And these fetch quest items take on a little bit added significance in co-op mode. You kind of want to figure out fairly early whether it's required for your partner to get it. So I hope we'll be seeing the dig spot in Magic Bat sooner rather than later. It'll be interesting to see how the teams decide to divide up their runners now that they have access to both the Dark World and they can sequence break up the mountain, to a large part of the mountain.
Yes, indeed. With that hook shot in play, that puts Paradox Cave in reach and another nice high-density spot for checks. Speaking of sequence break, Floyd finishing up his Eastern Palace Dark Room and gonna find the one more item lamp-locked in here. And it's the boots!
Wow.
That's a really nice find, not quite 10 minutes in.
So if 2 Pearl, 2 Fierce is going up the mountain and into Dark World, then they might not find that boots for a while. We'll have to see where Trinexx decides to go.
Speaking of that shovel spot, it looks like Floyd's about to show it to us. Just bombs. And Floyd turning those boots into our other favorite pair of footwear, the flippers coming from the library.
Yeah, I totally missed that before. So those boots have been sequence broken to open up a lot of locations now. And it does look like Trinexx is going to be checking out Hype Cave. So Eastern Palace may not be on the menu for a while.
Yeah, over the course of however long it takes 2 Pearl, 2 Furious to head into there, that's could be a handy little time save for the boys on the left.
Bunch of checks coming up here, including Master Sword already found in Paradox Cave.
Hype Cave turning up a whole bunch of nothing. 1 of 10 hype at best.
And Flute also in Paradox Cave, along with the blue boomerang. So a bunch of blue items in there. Pendant, Thieves Town, Pendant, Swamp Palace, and it looks like the 5/6 crystal on Misery Mire.
Yes, indeed. Of course, this being an all-dungeon seed, we're going to need all of those sooner or later, and there's Mirror on Stumpy.
Oh, another sword in Spiral Cave. So 2 swords up on the East Death Mountain. I'm kind of surprised that Flipheal hasn't been making more of a beeline towards the boots. Maybe they have some other strategy.
Yeah, we might just be waiting to see how important those flippers will be, that being the big thing that Boots has unlocked so far, and Floyd's going to give us a look at that right here.
Yeah, it might also be convenient if Flipheal finds his mirror first, then he could go to Pod and Eastern for his boots together. Trinexx probably going to give us a look at Village of Outcasts pretty soon, and hopefully he'll also turn in his magic powder. As Floyd checks out Waterfall Cave and finds just some blue goo.
Not a bad thing to have. What he was really hoping for was some rupees, because he is just a little short of being able to pay the fish to see what he's holding. And we have the Titans on batter.
Remind me, where was Powder again? I've already forgotten.
I'm afraid that slipped my mind as well. I want to say it was Mini Moldorm Cave, perhaps?
Just shows you how difficult this co-op mode is. I mean, you have to remember where you find the different items so that you can relay it to your partner.
Yes, indeed. Either that or call them out as you find them, in which case it's on your partner to remember where that thing is.
Looked like Eastern Palace was their last pendant and Desert Palace was their last 5/6 crystal. But yeah, if I'm in the middle of a clutch boss fight, I'm not remembering anything that you're saying to me.
Trinexx heading into Thieves Town. Always a good feeling being able to head into there with Hammer and not have to worry about leaving an item behind. As O'Shea making good use of those Titans mitts for a little Smith chain check. And Flipheal heading towards Pod. There's just interesting stuff happening in all corners right now. And that's the lamp up there in Thieves Town.
There's too many things happening at the same time, I can't handle it.
Yes, indeed. Quad streams can be a little rough to to parse as a viewer or a commentator in the best of times. But when it's co-op, and it's even less likely that any given two people are covering the same ground.
Yes, So thank you very much to our trackers, Dark Diplomat and Werfjig, keeping us straight.
Absolutely, the unsung heroes of Link to the Past Randomizer League. Floyd's taking a look at Skull Woods here.
Yeah, it looked like that blacksmith chain didn't lead to anything too exciting, and Osh is going to head on over to Mire area. Flipheal putting together a mimic clip here. He's going to slowly clip this mimic out of bounds, and he will say bye-bye, and the door will open for him.
Yep, slight sequence break there. You see it more often done with a potion glitch, but I do not believe Flipheal has a potion in his lone bottle at this point. Trinexx looking a little low on hearts going into the blind fight. Fortunately, blind is one of our scripted fights where if you know what you're doing, just stick to the script and everything will be okay.
We did see 2 Pearl 2 Furious find the fire rod in the map chest of Desert Palace. So they've definitely been finding a lot of items.
Trinexx keeping to that script with assurance and no problems. Blind goes down. That's our first dungeon completion and a green pendant at 20 minutes and 40 seconds in.
Yeah, it looks like Ice Rod in the dark basement of Pod. So we've got both our rods now. Trinexx heading for his mitts, so it may take 16-bit nerds a while to get there. It looks like neither of them are close to being able to chain that check-in with anything.
Speaking of rods, O'Shea taking his fire rod into Ice Palace. I believe he should be able to full clear here. But it's going to be a pretty... Well, he's got Tempered Sword. That'll help quite a lot. But with only 6 hearts, green mail, and no half magic, he's going to have to watch himself.
Trinexx also finding that half magic up on Bumper Ledge, tantalizingly out of reach. And I gotta imagine at this point, 2Pearl2Fear is probably hoping to find a bow somewhere so that they're able to chain together Pod and Eastern all in one go. But unknown to them, those boots are just waiting for them in there.
Yes, indeed, which does make this Ice Palace play on O'Shea's part technically a sequence break. He did have to fake flip to get into there. The flippers being boots locked on the library.
Once Trinexx gets through his Death Mountain checks, we're going to be able to see what medallion is needed for Turtle Rock, and then I think we're only looking for the bow and the Cane of Samaria to put us into go mode.
I believe you're right, and Flipheal just found his boots, so 16-bit nerds will know where to go to find that, and hence where their flips are coming from.
Floyd taking an unfortunate death there on blind, and Trinexx finding the Cane of Samaria in Super Bunny Cave.
Not a bad find. It'll let him go ahead and do Spike Cave on his way down the mountain. Oh, I'm sorry, you said Cane of Samaria. Oh, that is an especially good find.
Yeah. We do have Quake as the medallion for Turtle Rock as well. So we just need one medallion today. Floyd down to one heart. Just gotta be careful here.
Yep, and O'Shea taking no chances with his cold stare fight. Heads a screen north to pick up a safety ferry before heading down. Speaking of safeties, Trinexx grabbing his blue mail off the floating island before heading left, presumably to Tower of Hera.
And a very nice, clean, cold stare fight on Osh's screen. The Ice Palace done for him. That's his first crystal.
Yes, indeed, and that does put 2Pearl2Furious between the two of them, 2 dungeons ahead of 16-bit nerds. Still a lot of rando to go yet.
Yeah, I would say 16-bit nerds right now kind of being held back by nobody checking out the Death Mountain, which they have a lot of access to.
Not much to be found in Tower of Para today other than the crystal, which Moldorm will give up. Meanwhile, Floyd giving us our first look at Swamp Palace and another check-dense dungeon with 6 potential items hiding in here.
Two Pearl, Two Furious getting bodied a little bit over there for both runners. Although I believe that was an intentional death warp on Osh's part.
Flipheal giving us our first look at what Zora's hiding today. And that's a life lesson.
A pretty painful one. But I definitely want to see Flipheal head up to Death Mountain at this point.
Osha heading into his moth fight with Tempered Sword. This can be a real quick fight, but it's also very RNG dependent. It all depends on where those spikes go.
It's been a lot of hits putting Mothula into the spikes, which negates the damage. So it's taking a little bit longer than normal.
And down to 2 hearts. He opts to go ahead and burn that safety. Didn't need it, but better safe than sorry.
Definitely. Any kind of boss death is going to be costly. And I'm sure 16-bit Nerds is hoping that that Floyd's issue on blind is not going to be too hard on them. And we do find Quake in the back of Swamp Palace, so that's our medallion to get into Misery Mire and Turtle Rock. But I'm really curious to know where are our bows, because that's making Two Pearl, Two Furious put off Eastern Palace for a long time. Although it looks like Trinexx is on his way there now.
I'm also noticing that 16-bit Nerds is going to have to make their way to batter at some point if they want to find those Titans mitts. That's going to be holding them back, too.
Yeah, I did see that they had a couple of times that they could have stopped by. For example, when Flipheal was picking up his flippers. So
and there's our first blow of the seed. It is hidden behind the green pendant on Sasraladida.
Wow, that's a great find for 2 Pearl, 2 Furious.
Trinexx got so excited he lost his monkey. That's okay, it's just $10 to get him back. Floyd giving us what we affectionately call the slideshow fight. It's where you have to switch rapidly between hookshot and hammer to get those puffs off of Argus and then take them down in one hit instead of charging up fighter sword spins.
So it looks like 2 Pearl, 2 Furious in pretty good shape here. They're about to find their Ice Rod and boots. And they will just need to head to Swamp Palace to find Quake. Other than that, they know where everything is.
As Floyd takes down Argus for a red pearl and the first dungeon completion on the 16-bit nerd side. 2 Pearl, 2 Furious definitely does have a pretty commanding lead at this point in the race.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that death on blind is gonna hurt the 16-bit nerds a lot, because I'm sure it's been communicated to Flipheal at this point that there is nothing really interesting in Thieves Town, so they might put off getting that green pendant for a while.
Yes, indeed. If anything, it's a bit of a blessing that they found those boots as early as they did, because if they hadn't, that lack of bow might keep them away from the eastern pod area for quite a while. And it looks like our other male upgrade is sitting on Pyramid. Floyd picking that up.
So on 16-bit nerd side, it looks like... Well, I thought Flipheal was about to find his fire rod by going in the desert, but he just fluted away. And unfortunately, that failure to check Magic Bat earlier meant that we weren't able to find Cane of Samaria up on the dark side of Death Mountain. another crystal down for 2 Pearl 2 Furious. And as we get further along in the scene, we're gonna see these boss fights come more and more quickly. Alright, Floyd heading up to Death Mountain with his mitts, so he should be finding out where the Cane of Samaria is. And that will put 16-bit nerds in a position where they just need to turn in that green pendant and find the fire rod in Desert Palace.
Trinexx picking up the Ice Rod for 2 Pearl 2 Furious. From their perspective, they are now 1 item away from go mode, I believe.
Well, they'll need to pick up their in Eastern first, but then
Yeah, good call.
Definitely 2 Pearl 2 Furious has been doing a good job of getting those dungeons out of the way. You can see that they've got 6 dungeons down, whereas on 16-bit Nerd's side, they've only done 1 boss so far.
Yes, indeed. And of those 6 dungeons, only 1, Thieves Town, has been completed by both runners, meaning they've been covering a lot of ground very quickly.
Looks like Flipheal is going to make a beeline for that green pendant. Flipheal, having found that bow, heading back into pod. It's always a bad feeling when you head into pod for the second time, knowing it is not a required double dip. equally as demoralizing on Trinexx's side. He's going to find out that the boots have been available for a very long time.
Yes, indeed. And of course, we know that Too Pearl Too Furious has a rather substantial lead at this point. But as a runner, you're always questioning, how early did my opponent find this, and how much of a difference did it make? Floyd picking up both his canes from Super Bunny Cave.
And we see Osh is going to take that information from Trinexx and go for his boots as well. Just to recap, so Too Pearl Too Furious is looking for Quake in the back of Swamp Palace, whereas 16-bit nerds are looking for a Fire Rod in Desert Palace.
Trinexx missing the quick kill on Armos, but recovering and taking him down with the very last arrow in his quiver. And for those just tuning in, this is indeed a 2-on-2 co-op seed in which all 4 players are running the same seed in teams of 2 on a voice call so they can share information and split up the checks between them. It's a test of teamwork, communication, routing, execution, all the things that make up a great game of Link to the Past Randomizer.
Yeah, strategizing that route based on what items each runner has is a very important part of it. Because you don't want to have both runners doing similar checks at the same time, because it's just, you're just burning time that way. You want one runner to kind of scout out an area and find out what exactly is useful and what is not, so that when the second runner swings by, they can just go straight for the goodies.
And it looks like Trinexx is heading into Swamp Palace, where he is destined to find the Quake Medallion, which will put his team into go mode.
This is an interesting play on the 16-bit nerds side. Floyd is going back into Thieves Town. I mean, he's gotten the information that the green pendant holds a bow, but I don't think the bow is locking anything else at this point. So it feels like the 16-bit nerds would have been better served having Floyd go, like, do Misery Mire or something. Because he's the one with the cane, and it will take Flipheal, some amount of time investment to go all the way up Dark Death Mountain to get that Cane of Smart.
That's true. He might be avoiding Meyer because of lack of a fire source.
Doesn't he have a fire source? Well, I thought the lamp was in Thieves Town. He must have found that by now.
Oh, yes, Floyd does have lamp, so that's not it. Meanwhile, O'Shea with a beautiful, perfectly on-script Armos fight, taking them down quickly and efficiently, and grabbing his blue pendant.
Trinexx gonna give us a little taste of one of the newer glitches. Diver down here, where he's gonna hop into the water, kind of.
Yes, indeed. It's going to look like he's walking on top of the water, but in fact, he will have clipped through the water layer and onto the ground layer, allowing him to pass through this door frame and pick up this key. It saves a couple of screen transitions, saves a little time, but more importantly, it's just fun. After all of these years of drowning that key being the worst mistake you could make, now it's just what you do.
Alright, and Floyd has found his fire rod, so I believe that is all the items that they need.
Yes, indeed. Pearl 2 Furious has the dungeon lead, but 16-bit Nerds does get into go mode slightly ahead. Trinexx with a second quick application of Diver Down. We'll be finding his Quake Medallion.
Yeah, as well as a different method of doing it on Flipheal's side. But yeah, both teams have their Quake Medallion now, or at least know where it is. And it's just going to be a race to the finish.
Yes, indeed. At this point, both of our teams know what they need to do to get to the goal, and it's just a matter of pure execution. Who can knock it out faster?
We'll have to see how much time each team devotes to trying to find the silver arrows.
With all four runners having blue mail and at least tempered, it's hard to imagine them going too far out of their way for it. It is a time save, but Silverless Ganon with tempered sword is... there are a lot worse things to handle.
We've got 4 boss fights going on the screen. And that'll take our dungeon count to 10 versus 8, I believe.
And in this particular co-op week of our league run, it is the average score that matters. Both teams will have their times averaged to reach their final score. So even if between the two of you, you are the runner who is behind, your execution still does matter.
So we'll probably want to see Flipheal and Osh as the runners who don't have cane to go up the mountain and finish up Turtle Rock and probably... Oh no, they have to come back down to do Misery Mire in order to get into Ganon's tower. Yep. Alright. I thought they could avoid an extra mountain climb, but apparently not. So Floyd is our first runner into Misery Mire, so he's going to be the one who's trying to find the big key for us. And the strategizing is not over, so because the runner still has to scout out big key locations, you kind of want to put the runner who's in the lead to do those checks, because you don't want your slower runner to fall too far behind.
We've got a bit of a Landmolus mirror match between Trinexx and Flipheal at the moment. Both of them taking down their triple worms and grabbing another crystal for their respective teams. So just a reminder, go ahead and give these runners a follow. This is a really demanding mode, and they're doing a great job getting through this seed. Yes, indeed. You can always use that !R command in the SpeedGaming chat to get links to all of our runners here today. And GG's to all of them in advance for putting themselves out there and putting on a great show for us here today.
Floyd successfully taking out Vitreous, grabbing a book. And Trinexx is going to check. He's going to grab his big key before doing that long cutscene. And we're going to get a little door state clip here. Very nicely done by Trinexx.
Flipheal giving us our first look into Turtle Rock. He's looking for the big key and just enough small keys to get him where he needs to go.
Not very many keys in the front of Turtle Rock, so it looks like they will have to get their big key from the vanilla location. Oh, chat correcting me that the big key was in the first chest, so my apologies for having missed that.
Trinexx showing off a very by-the-books Vitreous fight there, wading into that poisonous muck, using spin strats to take down the small eyeballs, and 8 arrows to the giant eyeball before claiming his own book and crystal. Trinexx taking a moment out to grab an arrow capacity upgrade from the Waterfall of Wishing here. Not something you often see. Must be thinking ahead to the GT climb, where you're going to need at least 4 of them to take down the red mimics. Trinexx making his way through Ice Palace more quickly than we've seen so far, courtesy of the red cane and our lovely icebreaker glitch. This will be a slight advantage on 16-bit Nerd's side, since both of those two runners will be able to perform that glitch, should they have the knowledge and desire to do so.
And a nice 0 cycle on Trinexx for Flipheal.
Making it look easy, getting that lovely double spin in the final phase, and one more slash to take him down. Floyd also on the left side with a very efficient turtle room there in pod. Speaking of making tough boss fights look easy, Trinexx absolutely destroying Cold Stare.
Yep, those NMG strats are good for a reason.
At this point, Trinexx, a mere 2 dungeons, 2 boss fights away from being able to head into GT. Absolutely tearing through this seed.
Yep, and just a reminder as to what's at stake here. If 2Pearl2 Furious wins this race, then 16-bit nerds are definitely out of playoffs.
Yes, indeed. 2Pearl2 Furious currently locked in a 3-way tie for the 3rd place spot in the Lake Hylia division with the Immortals and Yutang clan. So this is a very important week for Lake Hylia division as we determine who will be moving on to the playoffs next week.
Yes, 3 teams from each division will be duking it out in the playoffs to determine the one winner from each of the 8 divisions that will continue on to compete for champion of ALTTPR League Season 2.
Two bosses go down on the quick on the top half of the screen. Trinexx taking down Mothula and Floyd taking down his Armos Knights.
And we do see the runners opening some chests here and there, but as expected, not really going out of their way for any additional checks looking for silver.
Yes, indeed. Flipheal opening up the big chest of Ice Palace. It's right there on the same screen. If that had been the silvers, it would have been a nice time save, but 'twas not to be. Flipheal taking an unfortunate hit from the falling icicles, messing up his timing a little on those cold stare heads, but recovers and takes them down.
And this is Two Pearls, Two Furious' last climb up Death Mountain. So they are in the end game.
O'Shea not far behind him, just needs to take a slight detour to take down Tower of Hera before moving on to his own Turtle Rock fight. So most definitely Two Pearl, Two Furious match to lose, barring something incredible happening in GT at this point.
And execution and routing, communication, all still important as your partner goes through these dungeons. You see Flipheal tried to get the big key, but forgot that he needed to grab a small key first.
Floyd letting his cold stare fight get a little bit away from him, but fortunately with Butter Sword, it doesn't take much to recover. This race definitely isn't over yet. I mean, Flipheal has only got Skullwoods to do after this, which is a really quick dungeon, and he's already done Turtle Rock. So he's only, you know, like 2 minutes behind or something from Two Pearl, Two Furious. Yep, he will have to knock out Tower of Hera as well, but that's another quick one, especially if you can Hera pot. Trinexx able to dispense with Laser Bridge and head straight toward the battle with his namesake, showing off some of those fun Red Cane strats before heading into the boss fight.
That's 10 dungeons down for Trinexx. He's going to be heading into GT. And does that mean we're going to play a game?
I think it's time to play everybody's favorite guessing game.
Alright, get your guesses in chat. Where do you think Trinexx is going to find that GT big key? He is going to be the first one in there, so we'll see what direction he takes.
Yes, indeed. There's 22 possibilities. Do you have a favorite bet, PRD?
Nope. I just let it be where it is.
It's a very zen way to look at it. I like to bet 2. I like to, we're gonna need a small key. So small key in first chest, big key in second chest. I like to be nice to our runners.
Alright, and as I think the standard strategy as the first runner in, he's gonna go ahead and take the left side. And if he hasn't found it by the time Osh gets in, then he'll let Osh do the right side. Or he might just decide to do Dark Magician strat, because he's getting that mirror out. But up to chest 5, which was the mushroom, nothing yet. Cape in chest 7, so they could go pick up their half magic now.
Well, that seems like a good use of everyone's time, right? Trinexx commits a slight oopsie there. Triggered that crystal switch just a little too early to get himself across.
And I believe that was chest number 11, still no big key yet. Looks like we're gonna continue on to the back. And Osha getting his 10th dungeon complete as well.
He'll be heading into his own GT and potentially checking left side soon enough as Trinexx heads into his Ice Armos fight.
And we've got 13 a piece of heart, 14 silver arrows, and 15 the GT map. Both runners of 2 Pearl 2 Furious heading down that left side of GT. If you want, you can make a little race out of out of the two runners to see which one of them will finish first. Maybe a slight miscommunication on who's going to check firebar room.
And it's looking to be Randomizer room today. It's about all that's left.
We will have to see which one Trinexx opens. But it is in the upper right chest. So if he goes straight for it, then that will be chest number 18.
No tile room today. Sorry, folks.
He picks it up on 19. As Flipheal searches for the big key. Looks like he'll be picking up his silvers if he continues on this route. And Osh did decide to continue on, and he's going to pick up his silvers as well. I guess they are judging that the times spent grabbing or getting to Ice Armos is worth it.
Meanwhile, over on the left-hand side, Flipheal has entered his own GT. He did a slightly more standard Hope Room first, and then on into Dark Magician, and full left from there. Which does mean that it's unlikely that the 16-bit nerds will be finding their silver arrows here today. Which will just about negate any potential time save they might have had skipping right side.
Yeah, it's looking like 2 Pro 2 Furious has this in the bag unless they go through some Ganon deaths or falls here.
I've seen crazier things happen, but not many of them.
And just a reminder that all of these runners, they still have to do AGA 1 after this, so there's still some time that can be made up through good or bad execution. For example, not lighting these torches in time on Trinexx's side.
Trinexx carefully collecting the small magic refills. taking this time an intentional fall to save himself a little bit of travel time and get through the door safely.
See how Trinexx was the first to enter the gauntlet, but with a little bit of trouble there, he was overtaken. So these execution missteps, they do cost you.
Absolutely. One of my favorite things about the structure of Link to the Past Randomizer is that we end things on a challenge of pure execution in the GT Gauntlet. Well, typically we do. In today's All Dungeons scene, we'll be ending things in AGA 1. Speaking of beautiful execution, lovely triple there on Oshe's side. Narrowly misses a double triple. But still takes down the Geometry Wizard with little trouble. Flipheal with a beautiful zero cycle Landmo fight, combining sword spins and fire rod shots.
So looking back at the seed, I would say the main stumbling blocks would probably be the bow on behind the green pendant and those mitts behind the magic powder. So we'll have to, if we can get an interview, we'll have to ask the teams on what they thought of them. If you like guessing games, go ahead and put in chat what you think, how many blue balls you think we'll see from AGA 1 today.
Yes, indeed. And of course, like the number of Ganon teleports, the number of blue balls AGA throws out is standardized across players in this seed. No relying on RNGesus to save you now. It's execution between here and the Triforce room.
And if you really want to optimize, your partner could tell you where Ganon is going to teleport so that you can try to push him back and make his travel time a little bit shorter.
Although as it stands, it looks like our two runners on the two Pearl, two Furious side might be too close together to even communicate that.
So I believe that was 3 blue balls?
I believe so. O'Shea absolutely burning through Ganon's first couple phases.
For how the seed turned out, all our runners pretty close together, so they did a good job routing through the seed. Down goes Ganon.
Yes, has but one more challenge to overcome. The fabled bridge to the Triforce room. He made it. It's okay, he made it.
And he's finished in first place with an official SRL time of 1:30.53. Get your GGs in chat as well for Trinexx as he finishes the fight. And Trinexx finishing with a time of 1:31.27. So we won't need to bother calculating the averages here, as 2 Pearl 2 Furious is your winner for this race. And we'll see if we can get them in for an interview here.
Yes, indeed. Just in case it needs to be stated for Fantasy League statistics purposes, the average time was in fact 1 hour, 31 minutes, and 10 seconds on the 2 Pearl, 2 Furious side.
Hello, everyone.
GG's, you guys.
GG, thank you.
GG's, thank you.
So how did that seed go?
I think one of our comments to ourselves is that as we were clearing out Eastern, it dawned on us that none of us did the front of escape. So we were just hoping that just didn't bite us in the end.
Yeah, I think that was the only place where if it had something, it could have been really bad, but it worked out.
And we were talking out loud about potentialness of like how Eastern was laid out, that there was a chance that, you know, they didn't get the boots early, but apparently talking to them, they did. So that was kind of an interesting situation for us, I guess.
Yeah, they checked both front of Hyrule Castle and Eastern very early on.
Yeah, I think just the way it worked out for us, that once we got the early Dark World access, it was also, you know, Oase went up to the mountain and we started clearing out dense checks first, and we just never made it over there early. Like, I guess it kind of worked out that neither of us had a double dip, so.
Yeah, I made that call because I was hoping for a bow either on the mountain or like in the first checks with our world. Because I don't like going to the east area without a bow, hoping to get a bow there.
Yep, that definitely makes sense. And they both did end up double dipping both pod and eastern.
Yeah, I guess we lucked out a little bit in that regard. Once I had the green pendant, I was thinking about checking it early, but it just never made sense to get over there at that in time until we were running out of good checks. So
You guys didn't seem to have very many problems with the mitts as well on Magic Bat.
we were actually like fighting over who was going to check the bat. Like I was thinking about going on the way in, but he convinced me that he was easier for him. So
We happened to be at the same place actually, so
yeah, we were joking, saying that we were high-fiving as he was activating his flute.
Alright, and this win puts you guys a little bit closer to a playoff spot. What's your thinking there?
At this point, I think someone was running the numbers that we had a low chance to win if we had both winning here. So at this point, I'm not thinking about that until we schedule and then win our second match, and then we can start looking at how that goes out. But if nothing else, we have to get our next one to even have a good chance at it.
Alright, and get your GGs in chat as Flipheal finishes the seed with a time of 35:44. And GG's to Flipheal.
Thank you, GG.
GG, Flip.
GG's.
GG, guys. It was fun.
So I'll ask you many of the same questions, but early on you guys picked up the boots and we thought that it would give you a little bit of an advantage, but it looks like it never materialized that way.
Yeah, it worked out. You know, it was nice having them, but, you know, not having the bow obviously sucked because you had to go back. We tried to like clear the early stuff and make sure we didn't miss anything important. Didn't sequence break too much. I think we did a little bit once. You know, he did a little bit of sequence breaking, but once we found the lamp, yeah, I had a feeling Swamp would have something important too, because we had early items for it, but it was nothing. Yeah, the mountain was the play.
Oh, is that the reason you guys stayed away from the mountain due to the lack of the lamp and the flute?
Yeah, we could have sequence broke it, but we just want to make sure there was nothing like important early on.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that helped us out a little bit. That I think when Oase did sequence break, they found the flute up there, so we were kind of trying to hunt down where the lamp could have been. So
yeah, I think the two main things that really hurt us was, well, I guess Floyd not killing blind on the first trip sucked because we could have had the bow a lot sooner. But another thing that sucked was when we knew where the lamp was, I was gonna get the lamp and then do desert. But like since I was already in the area, I didn't dip desert, and that sucked because we potentially could have been go mode sooner because the fire rod was there. But other than that, and maybe getting the mitts a little bit sooner, I think that was about as well as it could have went for us.
yeah, I guess that's interesting. Where it's like, I guess we didn't. I think I was watching the stream briefly. I saw you guys had butter sword. I'm not sure where that came from.
That was Spiral Cave.
We get that one, I think. So it must have been another one.
Yeah, we got that one. We got one in Paradox and the Bottle Bender.
I'm trying to think, where was the third one? Now I'm drawing a blank actually. Oh, King's Tomb. Yep.
Oh yeah. So I guess that's what ended up happening in our favor. Since we got the boots relatively late, It was actually after we got bow, so we didn't have to double dip those dungeons. So once we got the boots, I went straight to the library to get the flippers and went straight into swamp. And then I kind of ignored all the other checks first, just to get the clearable dungeons out of the way. And it just so happened that Quake was in there, and that was our go mode, so it worked out.
Yeah, that was another thing that sucked. If I had the mitts a little bit sooner, I would have been able to, on the first trip at Death Mountain, be able to get into Turtle Rock, which I guess it didn't happen. No, wait, no, I wouldn't have had Quake anyway. Disregard that.
And
And
GG's
the
to
final
Floyd.
fight goes down, yeah.
And he finishes with the time of 1:39.29. Joining us for an interview as well, I believe.
Yeah, hey guys.
GG's Floyd.
GG guys.
GG's.
Yeah, that was a fun game.
Yeah, the other fun situation was that I got to GT just a little bit earlier. So I ended up doing like a full Dark Magician, going down to Ice Armors. And thankfully, I guess the Silver Arrows were in there.
Oh, you ended up getting them?
Yeah, it was just happened to work out that way. I still questioned whether or not it was faster for Oase to get them. He went from Random Room to Ice Armors to get it. I'm not sure if that worked out, but...
Oh, yeah, we didn't get them at all. Man, that full clear of swamp, I think, really put us away. But we were trying to read that seed, and it kind of gave us everything to go to swamp, and we thought, well, 6 items in there, it's got to be something, right?
Well, it did have Quake.
Yeah, that's true. It had Quake.
Oh, we did full clear swamp too.
Yeah, I think we went left side first to go that way, and
Yeah.
once we got Quake, that was our go mode, so we just kind of went from there.
Oh, okay.
We get to screw around with the diver down strats on the left side there.
I think I was the lucky one because I got to go mode the most dungeons.
I got to go mode ice, you didn't, so I call that a moral victory.
I felt cleared ice. I think that was the only one. So I decided to not check Hera on my first trip to the mountain for some reason. Made no sense, but it worked.
Yeah, it was a good call. There's nothing in there.
I ended up going to Mini Moldorm Cave early with just bombs, but I didn't have enough to really clear it out, so I took one and just bailed out, and had Oase back me up with his sword.
Yeah, and I was walking to it, and I think I got lost on myself, and I just walked past it, and I had to go back. Yeah, nothing too crazy happened in my seat, other than forgetting to bomb the floor for Trinexx. I mean, for blind, that was fun.
See, I thought Trinexx was going to throw the game because I'm on his fantasy league somewhere. I thought, oh, he'll let me win so he can get the points.
I think, yeah, it was one week I was definitely flowing against myself. I was considering about bonking down like Gag or something.
All right. Well, any last thoughts about the seed?
Nope, I think we just have to do one more between us. It'll be me and Oase next time. I think we just have to get on the schedule for the next one.
Yeah, it'll be me and Iker for the other one.
Yeah, I look forward to that. Maybe sometime this weekend, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hosting and commentating and tracking and everything. Appreciate it.
Yeah, big thanks.
Yep, give these runners a follow. They did a great job getting through the seed. And we have another match coming up on SpeedGaming 2 from the same division. And it'll be... Let me make sure I get the team names correct. It'll be the Immortals versus the Longshots. So I think, 2 Pearl 2 Fears, you guys will be rooting for the Longshots to pick up a win here. And we'll see how that turns out as they get started in just a few minutes.
Yeah, I
Any
think
last words from... Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I would look forward to watching that, but I have to go immediately play an All Dungeons race after this. So
All right, well, good luck on that one too. Any last words from you, Ben?
Thanks to all our runners, and thanks to everybody here at the Speed Gaming network of channels for helping us put on a show for you all here today. We've got plenty more league to watch, so check that schedule command and give our runners a follow. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
thank you.
Later.